Well, this is a very fine 100-ounce silver bar, and in today's video I want to tell you why I decided to purchase this bar in particular, and also talk about the 100-ounce size. Is it just a little bit too big and expensive to justify? In my opinion, no, and there are some really good things about buying a giant bar like this if you can get one into your stack. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we admire and talk about this fantastic 100-ounce Engle Hard bar. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining me for this week's In Focus Friday, where we take a good close look at something cool made of silver or gold. And you'll see here this beautiful 100 troy ounce Engle Hard silver bar. And I think you'll agree this is most certainly something cool made out of silver. Now, I did show this in a video on Wednesday where I talked about having bought it at the high prices of silver in the last week, and then silver of course dropped down. It's a shame when that happens, but at the end of the day, I still have this wonderful, beautiful Engle Hard silver bar. It is a monster, and we're going to have a good close look at it. However, it is just a big lump of silver, and we can't really go into too much detail for 10 minutes of a YouTube video just looking at the bar. I'll run out of things to say. So instead I want to, whilst we look at it, talk about the viability of buying 100-ounce bars of silver. I got asked a few questions in the video on Wednesday. Why did I buy it? And I'll explain a little bit about that here today, as well as some of the pros and cons for owning a bar of silver like this and buying a bar of silver, and then looking, of course, maybe to selling this bar of silver in due course. So hopefully there'll be something for everybody in this video, and we can all wonder at the beauty that is an Engle Hard silver bar. And that's where I kind of want to start. So I had a few questions about why did I buy this particular bar. I get actually asked quite a lot, if you make your own silver bars out of silver, surely you could just pour yourself a 100-ounce bar and be done with it. Well, first, theoretically, yes, I could, but pouring a 100-ounce bar of silver is not going to be easy. 100 ounces is a heavy amount of weight to pour silver molten at 1050 plus degrees centigrade. So no, I'm not going to ever make my own 100-ounce bar. I have plenty of silver for my business that I buy in by the tens of kilos. So I have plenty of silver. I've seen higher weights all said and done. So why a 100-ounce bar, and why this Engle Hard? Well, there is something just exceptionally beautiful and uniform about the Engle Hard bars like this. You get a lot of kilo bars, even bigger bars, 100-ounce bars from various different mints around the country and the world, in fact, which are like cast bars, and they will have those sort of rounded edges. Sometimes they'll have little ripple lines, as the silver cooled, and they're looking nice, they're fine, but ultimately they're not as, in my opinion, uniform and pretty as a beautiful Engle Hard. Now, I am not fully au fait with how these are made, but it looks very much to me like it has been, you can see here that there's like lines on the edge. It looks like it's been cut to shape by, of course, a giant saw or machine to get this bar of silver looking like this. It does indeed speak to me like that. Whether it is, I don't know. I'm sorry for any Engle Hard aficionados out there. Perhaps you can correct me if I'm wrong about it. But that's something I really like. It's different. So a very quick word from today's sponsor, the Wealth Research Group. If you've not heard about them, there is a link in the description to their website and also to this page, where they have a new exclusive report which is completely free to download. All you need to do is just put your email in and sign up to their newsletters. It's a very interesting read about the potential for a good gold bull market going into 2024. I'm not going to go through the report now. You can go and have a download and read of it yourself, but it does go into a fair bit of detail on some of the interesting metrics and charts and predictions for 2024 when it comes to things like interest rates potentially coming down now that inflation is under control, and the ability for gold to react and, we hope, go up, hence the bull market. It's well worth looking at and a very interesting read. And if you haven't had a look at some of the other reports that are available from the Wealth Research Group, there are a whole host of different ones available, all free to access and download. And it does make for really interesting reading about the future of gold and silver. There's a collectability to Engle Hards. And when you are looking to have a 100-ounce bar of silver, hey, look, we can get the entire screen for 100 ounces of silver, brilliant. When you're having a 100-ounce silver bar, you've got to remember that it is just 100 ounces of silver all in one go. It's got the negatives associated with it of being just a big lump that you can't easily chop up and sell for its constituent parts. And indeed, if you chop this up, you are destroying any kind of appealability of it, and you're going to basically just get scrap value for your silver. However, there is a following for Engle Hard products. They are beautiful. They hark back to, I think, a time when silver was very different to what it is now in terms of the modern market for coins and collectibles. And I do think that this is a thing of beauty. And I have had, well, I still have, in fact, it's in secure storage. I wasn't able to get it out for today's video, but I have a 50-ounce bar like this, which is machine made and cut, if we're going to say it's cut from these striations we're seeing on the side. And that's a really beautiful piece, and hopefully at some point in the not too distant future I will get it out of secure storage and we'll have both the 50 and 100 ounce side by side. But it is a thing of beauty, and that's what I love about it. But the negative of having all of your money locked up in one singular product, if you want to try and sell it, then you're going to have one singular person buying that off you, is more difficult to do. There is no doubting that. There also is a small premium attached to products like this over and above your regular 100-ounce bars from whatever refiner it might be. In the UK, there's a really good one, Bear & Co. They're usually the cheapest. And in fact, the person who was selling this bar had another 100-ounce bar from the Perth Mint. It didn't look very attractive, though. It had some like really weird patterns on it that just didn't look good, in my opinion. That was cheaper. I think it was about, I want to say it was about £80 cheaper. When you spread that over a 100-ounce bar, that's quite a lot when you think about it. You know, I paid $2,200. I'll be completely open and transparent about that. £22 an ounce for this, which at the time of spot price being like £20.50 was a great deal. But of course, you now look at spot price at, what are we at, 18 something or other, and you think, ooh, that's a little bit. You know, if I wanted to sell this now, I wouldn't be able to get the $2,200 out from it. Although one might argue that potentially I could. These are, as I said, somewhat collectible. I don't think charging $2,200 for it right now, at spot price where it is, would feel quite right from my perspective as somebody who kind of doesn't really like to just flip things. I'm not a flipper like that. I would rather hold this for the right amount of time and then, you know, sell it basically for the right person who wants to enjoy it like I do, rather than just flipping it for as much profit as possible. Don't get me wrong, I want to make profit on any investment that I make, any silver and any gold that I buy in, but I'm not there for just taking advantage of people. So I'm not going to be flipping this and turning it around and sending it out to my buyers club going, hey guys, we want it for $2,300, it's a great bar. I would maybe sell it for $2,300 if spot price rise to $21.50, $22, £22 an ounce, something like that. We'll see. I don't know. But for now, it's a savings account. I've put the money in the bank of Backyard Bullion, and that is something that is more valuable than money, in my opinion. So I have decided to buy it, and it represents one of the bigger purchases for the year. I haven't bought that much precious metal beyond the tens of kilos for my poured silver business, but that's money spent to get money back in for the poured silver products that we make. So that's something very different. You can't look at that as stacking material. They call it a silver lining, so worst case scenario, if I decide to just stop, I have kilos upon kilos of silver that I can have as an investment. But generally speaking, this year has been a pretty quiet year for the purchase of bulk amounts of precious metals. There's been a few bits of gold picked up along the way, but I don't feel like gold is a fantastic buy right now from my perspective. I already have an established gold stack. I have an established silver stack as well, but if we're still looking to accumulate metals, right now silver seems the better deal and the better price for me. And certainly when something like this comes along, you know, I am a slave to something pretty made of silver, and this one is most certainly that. So that's my decision making when I came round to it. Another little negative that I've just thought of. I mean, it's something that is always in the back of my head, but something like this does have a further negative of being capital gains taxable. So here in the United Kingdom, if you buy something just generic and boring like a Britannia, you don't have to pay capital gains on it if you make a profit at the other end. However, on something like this, you do. So it is worth thinking about from that perspective. It's about spreading that out across a particular time period. If you've got a bunch of different products, having a foundation in a certain capital gains exempt product is a great option. But also, I would like to just finish with this, and I know it's going to rile up maybe some, to be quite frank though, the people it's going to rile up are probably not watching to the 9th minute of my video. But if you're making a capital gain and you're making a big profit on something and you're having to pay a bit of capital gains tax, that's a good thing because you've made a big enough profit to have to worry about it. So from my perspective, I'm not really too bothered about the potential for capital gains issues on this. And quite frankly, I can foresee a time when capital gains taxes will be going to zero. So you can argue that the Britannia and those generic kind of silver products might be better, but they could just one day disappear from the exemption status. I don't know whether that will happen or not, but it's always possible. So I don't pay too much attention to it. I'm thinking about the very long term for this kind of a product. You know, it's going into the permastack, it's going into the deep storage after a few weeks of being enjoyed here on the channel. And it's something I probably won't think about again for another 20 odd years, unless I need to. And that's the beauty of precious metals. You can just extract your cash from them at the opportune time. And that's one of the advantages of a 100-ounce silver bar. You can buy low and sell quickly at those low prices. The spread between the purchase and the sell price should theoretically be a lot lower. Now, of course, it's dependent on spot price. We've seen it drop down, so I'm in the hole a little bit in terms of the liquidity of this bar. But that's okay because it's about long-term budgeting from my perspective. So there we have the beautiful 100-ounce Engle Hard. I hope that answers some of the questions I got in the comments about why I purchased it and why I purchased this particular product. I think it's great, and I'd love to know what you think down below. Now, for those backyard bullion ramblers watching to the back end of the video, I do have to apologise for the flashes of light that you've been seeing in here. We're not being raided by the police or the feds or anything. It's actually some CDs hanging outside my window because I've been experiencing a rather vicious crow attack, a pair of crows in fact, which I've named Colin and Cynthia. Colin the Crow and Cynthia the Crow. And they are the bane of my bloody existence. And they've been coming and flying at my window and sitting on the windowsill and pecking at it. So I think I see the reflections in the glass. So those CDs are beautifully glistening in the sunshine. And Colin and Cynthia, just go away, will you? Hate them. Anyway, crows, eh? Right, that's it from me. Thank you all for watching and listening, especially to the ramblers who've listened to the back end. If you have listened to the back end and you're in the Super Cool Kids Club, you let me know by telling me that you've heard about Colin and Cynthia, and I will have a little giggle, especially when I show Mrs. Backyard Bullion, because she is equally as perplexed and annoyed by these two bloody crows as I am. Anyway, that's enough rambles for me. Thanks all. We'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.